Welcome back to the Sleepless Scientist channel. Tonight, we stay here on Earth, not to measure distant galaxies, not to unravel the mystery of time, but to listen to a rhythm that has been with us since the very beginning. The rhythm of the tides. Every day, without fail, the oceans rise and fall. Twice each day, the sea reaches out to touch the land, and then gently pulls away again. This movement is so constant, so steady, that we often forget how strange it really island. Beaches vanish beneath rolling waves, then stretch wide again, glittering with shells. Harbours fill with water, lifting boats as though by an invisible hand. Then, hours later, the same boats rest on the sand, waiting for the sea to return. Along rocky shores, tide pools appear and disappear. Tiny creatures adapt to both water and air, living in a world that changes twice each day. To us, this rhythm may seem ordinary, but to life itself, it is one of the oldest clocks on Earth. For thousands of years, humans have depended on the tides. Sailors studied them to set their journeys. Fishermen learned when the sea would give and when it would take. Entire villages rose and fell with the turning of the tide. And even before us, life itself was shaped by it. Some scientists believe that early creatures crawled from tidal pools, taking their first steps toward land because of this endless cycle of water. But what makes the tides move? Why does the sea rise and fall with such precision, day after day, year after year? The answer is written in the sky. The moon. Though it is small compared to Earth, the moon has power. Its gravity stretches across space, reaching the oceans, gripping billions of tons of water, and pulling them toward it. The moon does not only shine at night, it shapes the oceans, it sculpts the shorelines. It turns water into a living, moving rhythm. This is not a force we can see. It is not a sound we can hear. But it is always there, a cosmic connection between Earth and its companion in the sky. The tides are the language of this connection. They are the Earth, breathing, inhaling and exhaling as the moon pulls and releases. And yet, the moon is not the only player. The sun also joins the dance, strengthening or softening the tides. As Earth, moon and sun align, the result is one of the most beautiful, most reliable patterns on Earth. So tonight, let us follow this rhythm more closely. From the pull of the moon to the shape of the coastlines, from the myths of ancient sailors to the lives of crabs, fish and birds that depend on the turning tide. This is not just the story of water, it is the story of connection between Earth and moon, between sea and sky, between humans and the forces that guide our world. So, let your thoughts drift, like a boat carried by the tide. Let your mind rise and fall with the pull of the moon, and together we will begin our journey into the secret science of tides. Before we understand how the moon moves the ocean, we must first ask a simple question. What are tides? At first, the answer seems obvious. The tide is the rise and fall of the sea, but when we look closer, we find that it is more than just waves, more than just water moving in and out. Waves are created by wind, currents are shaped by temperature and salt, but tides are different. They are a slow, steady swelling and sinking of the ocean itself. Imagine Earth as a giant water-covered sphere. The oceans are not fixed in place. They shift, they stretch, they flow in response to invisible forces. Every shoreline feels it. In some places, the change is gentle, just a few centimeters. In others, like the Bay of Fundy in Canada, the sea can rise and fall more than 15 meters in a single day. The tide is not random. It follows a pattern, a rhythm as precise as the ticking of a clock. Roughly every 12 hours, the water rises to a high tide, and in between, it falls to a low tide. 2 highs and 2 lows, each day endlessly repeating. This cycle is so steady that it has been used to measure time itself. In the past, villages set their schedules by the turning of the tide. Today, we can predict tides years into the future, down to the very minute. But the most curious part is this. The sea does not rise and fall the same everywhere. On one coast, the high tide may arrive in the morning, On another, the same tide will not come until hours later. Some regions see only one high tide each day, instead of two. The ocean is one body, but the tide behaves differently across the world. Why? Because tides are not caused by the ocean alone. They are the result of a relationship, a pull that comes from beyond the earth. When you stand on the shore, watching the sea creep higher and higher, what you are truly watching is the effect of gravity across space. The moon, far above, is reaching down with invisible hands, shaping the ocean and teaching us the true meaning of tides. Before we understand how the moon moves the ocean, we must first ask a simple question. What are tides? At first, the answer seems obvious. The tide is the rise and fall of the sea. But when we look closer, we find that it is more than just waves, more than just water moving in and out. Waves are created by wind. Currents are shaped by temperature and salt. But tides are different. They are a slow, steady swelling and sinking of the ocean itself. Imagine Earth as a giant water-covered sphere. The oceans are not fixed in place. They shift, they stretch, they flow in response to invisible forces. Every shoreline feels it. In some places, the change is gentle, just a few centimeters. In others, like the Bay of Fundy in Canada, the sea can rise and fall more than 15 meters in a single day. The tide is not random. It follows a pattern, a rhythm as precise as the ticking of a clock. Roughly every 12 hours, the water rises to a high tide, and in between, it falls to a low tide. Two highs and two lows, each day endlessly repeating. This cycle is so steady that it has been used to measure time itself. In the past, villages set their schedules by the turning of the tide. Today, we can predict tides years into the future, down to the very minute. But the most curious part is this. The sea does not rise and fall the same everywhere. On one coast, the high tide may arrive in the morning. On another, the same tide will not come until hours later. Some regions see only one high tide each day, instead of two. The ocean is one body, but the tide behaves differently across the world. Why? Because tides are not caused by the ocean alone. They are the result of a relationship, a pull that comes from beyond the earth. When you stand on the shore, watching the sea creep higher and higher, what you are truly watching is the effect of gravity across space. The moon, far above, is reaching down with invisible hands, shaping the ocean and teaching us the true meaning of tides. The secret behind the tides is gravity. Gravity is the invisible force that holds you to the ground. It is what keeps planets circling the Sunday, and it is what binds the Earth and Moon together in their endless dance. The Moon is smaller than Earth, but its gravity still reaches across space. It pulls on everything, the rocks, the air, and most of all, the oceans. Water responds more easily than solid ground. It shifts, it flows, it stretches toward the source of the pull. On the side of Earth facing the Moon, the ocean swells outward. This is the first tidal bulge. It is the sea reaching toward the Moon, drawn by its gravity. But here lies a mystery. There is a second bulge as well, on the far side of Earth, the side facing away from the Moon. How can water be pulled both toward the Moon and away from it at the same time? The answer lies in balance. The Moon's pull is stronger, on the side of Earth that is closer. It is weaker on the far side. Earth itself is pulled slightly more than the distant ocean. So, the water on the far side lags behind, left as another bulge. Two bulges. One facing the Moon, one opposite it. As Earth rotates beneath them, coastlines pass through these bulges, creating the rhythm of high and low tides. This invisible stretching is small compared to the size of the planet, but vast when measured in oceans. Billions of tons of water are lifted and lowered twice each day, not by wind, not by storms, but by the gentle pull of our nearest neighbour in space. When you stand on the beach and see the tide creeping in, you are watching gravity at work. You are watching the silent thread that connects Earth to Moon, reaching across space and pulling the sea with it. We know the Moon pulls the ocean on the side closest to it, but the far side of Earth also rises in a second bulge. At first, This seems strange. How can water move away from the moon while also being pulled toward it? The answer lies in differences of force. The moon pulls more strongly on the near side of Earth. It pulls less strongly on the far side. Earth itself is pulled slightly more than the distant water, so the water on the far side lags behind. It is left behind as a second bulge. This stretching of the ocean is called a tidal force. It does not lift the water into sharp peaks. Instead, it creates long, gentle swells that wrap around the planet. As Earth spins, different coastlines move through these bulges. Where a coastline passes through the bulge, it experiences high tide. Where it passes between the bulges, it experiences low tide. This is why most places on Earth see 2 high tides and 2 low tides every day. The tidal force is small compared to other forces on Earth. Mountains do not rise and fall with the moon. Solid ground hardly shifts at all, but water is free to move, and so the oceans respond to the moon's gentle pull across space. This second bulge is proof that tides are not just local. They are global. They are the Earth and moon connected by an invisible thread of gravity that stretches the oceans twice each day. The moon creates 2 tidal bulges on Earth, one on the side facing the moon, and one on the side facing away. These bulges are not fixed in place. They move as the moon moves, and as Earth rotates, different places pass through them. When a coastline rotates into a bulge, the sea rises into high tide. When it rotates away from the bulge, the sea falls into low tide. This is why the ocean seems to breathe. It swells, it recedes, again and again, in a rhythm as steady as a heartbeat. Because Earth turns once every 24 hours, most coastlines move through both bulges in a single day. That means 2 high tides and 2 low tides, almost every 24 hours. But the timing is not exact. The cycle is about 12 hours and 25 minutes apart, not 12 hours. Why? Because the moon itself is not standing still. It is moving in its orbit around Earth. As Earth spins, the bulges drift slightly forward to keep pace with the moon. This delay means that each day, the high tide comes about 50 minutes later than the day before. You can see this for yourself. Spend a week near the sea, and you will notice the shift. One afternoon, the water is high at noon. By the end of the week, it is not high again until almost evening. For those who live by the coast, this rhythm is a part of daily life. Fishermen plan their work around the tides. Harbours track the hours when boats can enter or leave. Tide tables are printed and studied, with the care of a calendar or a clock. The tides remind us that not all time is measured by the Sunday. There is another clock in the sky, a lunar clock. Its hand is the moon, its face is the ocean, and its rhythm is written in the rising and falling of the sea. So, when you stand on the shore and watch the tide return, you are not just seeing water move, you are seeing Earth rotate. You are seeing the moon's pull follow its orbit, and you are watching a cycle that has continued for billions of years. The tides are Earth's second heartbeat, quieter than the turning of day and night, but just as faithful, just as eternal. The moon and sun pull on the oceans with steady force, but the tides we see on Earth are not the same everywhere. Some coastlines rise and fall only a few centimetres. Others, like the Bay of Fundy in Canada, see the sea rise more than 15 metres in a single day. Why such a difference? The answer lies in the shape of the Earth itself. Oceans are not smooth bowls of water. They are vast basins, broken by continents, islands, and ridges. The ocean is a restless body, sloshing within these irregular boundaries. When the tidal bulge moves across the ocean, it is shaped and redirected by the land. Some places funnel the water into narrow bays. The rising tide squeezes into the narrowing space and climbs dramatically higher. Other coastlines are open and wide. The bulge spreads gently, and the tide is softer, barely noticeable to the human eye. Local depth also matters. Shallow seas amplify the tide. Deep oceans swallow it more quietly. Even the rotation of Earth plays a role. The Coriolis effect, which bends winds and currents, also twists the flow of tidal waters. This creates complex patterns of circulation, with some tides arriving earlier or later than expected. Because of this, no two coastlines are the same. Some places have 2 high tides and 2 low tides each day. Others see only one of each. A few regions experience mixed tides, with 1 strong high tide and 1 weaker one. For coastal communities, this difference is not just curiosity. It is life. Fishermen time their work to the exact rhythm of their local sea. Harbours are designed to open or close according to how far the tide will fall, and entire ecosystems depend on the unique pulse of water in their region. So while the moon and sun create the rhythm, the earth itself adds the variation. The continents, the bays, the slopes of the seafloor all shape the song of the tides. It is the same melody everywhere, but played in different ways. A global rhythm expressed in countless local voices. The tides we see today are ancient. They are as old as the earth and the moon themselves. Billions of years ago, when Earth was young, the moon was much closer. Its pull on the oceans was stronger. The tides were enormous, towering waves that swept across the newborn seas. Back then, a single day on Earth was much shorter. Instead of 24 hours, it lasted only a few hours. The young planet spun quickly, and the tides rushed around it in a frantic rhythm. Over time, the tides acted like a brake. The constant pull of the moon slowed Earth's rotation little by little. The days grew longer, the moon drifted farther away, and the tides settled into the calmer cycle we know today. The history of life itself is tied to this rhythm. In shallow seas, the tides created pools of water that appeared and disappeared each day. Inside them, early life forms adapted to survive both wet and dry. Some scientists believe this daily challenge helped push life from water onto land. The fossils tell their story too. Ancient rocks preserve ripples and ridges, left by tides hundreds of millions of years ago. Even then, the oceans were already breathing to the pull of the moon. Human history has also been shaped by tides. For early sailors, tides were both guide and danger. Great navies rose and fell, depending on their knowledge of the sea's rhythm. Farmers near estuaries timed their planting to the fertile soil left by the turning tide. Priests and storytellers watched the moon and built myths of gods who commanded the waters. From the first living cells in tidal pools to the first humans standing on the shore, the tides have been part of our story. They are not only science, they are memory. They are the ancient heartbeat of the earth, still pulsing quietly beneath our feet. The tides are not only a rhythm of the present, they are also changing the future. Each day, as the oceans rise and fall, friction occurs. The water rubs against the seafloor, against the continents, and against itself. This friction slows the rotation of Earth. The effect is tiny, just a fraction of a second added to the length of a day, every century. But over millions of years, the difference becomes enormous. Long ago, a day on Earth was much shorter. Now it lasts 24 hours. In the far future, it will last even longer. The moon feels this change as well. As Earth slows, the moon drifts away. It recedes from us by about 4 centimeters each year. That may not sound like much, but across billions of years, it means the moon was once far closer, and one day it will be much farther away. When the moon was near, its pull created massive tides that swept across the planet. Now the tides are gentler, though still powerful. In the far future, as the moon drifts farther out, the tides will weaken. Earth and moon are locked in this exchange. The slowing spin of Earth and the drifting of the moon are 2 sides of the same story. Astronomers call this tidal locking. It is the reason why we always see the same face of the moon. The same pull that creates tides on Earth has slowed the moon's own spin until one side is forever turned toward us. One day, far in the future, Earth may also become tidally locked. If that happens, one hemisphere will always face the moon, while the other will never see it. The tides will be frozen in place, and the rhythm we know today will be gone. For now, the dance continues. Earth spins, the moon drifts, and the oceans rise and fall in between. When you watch the tide, you are not only seeing the present, you are seeing the long story of Earth and moon, written in water, stretching from the past into the far future. Between the high tide and the low tide lies a shifting world, a place that is sometimes land and sometimes sea. This is the intertidal zone. Here, life must be ready for constant change. At high tide, waves cover the rocks and sand, fish swim in, crabs crawl from hiding, anemones open their soft arms to feed. At low tide, the water retreats, pools are left behind, isolated worlds filled with tiny creatures. Some cling to rocks, others burrow into sand, all wait patiently for the sea to return. The intertidal zone is one of the toughest places to live. Creatures face pounding waves one moment and drying air the next. They endure salt spray, shifting temperatures, and predators from both land and sea. Yet life thrives here. Barnacles glue themselves to stone. Mussels crowd together in clusters, their shells locking tight when the water disappears. Sea stars creep slowly, hunting in the shallow pools. Seaweeds anchor with strong roots, bending and swaying with each returning wave. Birds fly down to feed when the tide is low. Shore crabs scuttle quickly across the sand. Even humans walk these shores, searching for clams and shells, as countless generations have done before. This borderland between sea and land is also a nursery. Many species begin life here, protected in the shifting waters, before moving into the deeper ocean. The rhythm of the tides sets the rhythm of their lives. Every creature here is timed to the moon. To us, the intertidal zone may seem fragile, but it is ancient and resilient. It has endured the rise and fall of the sea for millions of years. When you stand on the shore at low tide and see the pools glittering with hidden life, you are seeing one of Earth's oldest ecosystems, a place shaped by the pull of the moon and sustained by the eternal turning of the tides. For as long as humans have lived by the sea, we have watched the tides. We have feared them, followed them, and built our lives around their rhythm. In ancient times, people did not know about gravity. They saw the ocean rise and fall, and believed it was the work of gods. In Greece, the tides were linked to the powers of the moon goddess Selene. In India, stories told of deities pulling the sea with invisible ropes. In the Pacific Islands, navigators studied the moon and the tides together, learning to cross vast oceans guided by their rhythm. For farmers near tidal rivers, the sea was both a gift and a challenge. When the water rose, it carried fertile soil into the fields. When it fell, it left behind rich ground for planting. Civilizations timed their harvests to the endless cycle of the moon. Even today, many cultures celebrate the full moon and new moon, not only for their beauty, but because they bring spring tides, the highest waters of the month. But tides are not only myth and story, they are also energy. For centuries, people built tidal mills, using the rise and fall of the sea to grind grain. Today, engineers look to the tides once more, building turbines that turn with the flowing water. Unlike the wind, unlike the sun, the tide is perfectly predictable. It comes every day, without fail, following the moon's path across the sky. Tidal power is still young, but it may one day help us harvest clean energy from the sea. So the tides live in two worlds, one of myth and story, where gods pull the oceans, and one of science and technology, where the moon's gravity may power the lights in our homes. In both, the rhythm of the sea remains the same, a pulse older than humanity itself, still guiding us today. Each day, the oceans rise and fall. Each night, the moon glides silently across the sky. At first glance, these two rhythms seem separate, but they are one and the same. The tides are the Earth's quiet response to the pull of its companion, an endless conversation between land, sea, and sky. For billions of years, the moon has shaped the oceans. It has slowed Earth's spin, guided the rhythm of life, and written its influence into every coastline. The tides remind us that we live on a planet in motion, not fixed, not still, but part of a greater dance, with the world around us. They remind us of balance, of cycles that repeat without fail, of the hidden forces that connect all things together. To the sailor, the tide is a guide, To the fisherman, it is a clock. To the poet, it is a symbol of change. And to the scientist, it is gravity made visible, a thread stretching across space, from Earth to Moon. So the next time you walk along the shore, pause for a moment, watch the water creep in or slip away. Know that what you see is not only the sea moving, but the pull of the moon reaching across 250,000 miles. The tides are not noise, they are music, a slow and steady song, played on the instrument of the earth. They are not chaos, they are order, a rhythm older than history and lasting long after us. And when you look up at the moon, remember this: its light touches your eyes, its gravity moves the oceans, and its presence shapes the very rhythm of our world. Good night, and thank you for joining me on the Sleepless Scientist channel.